Here at the start of another lovely day in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama is really nice. It's got the Space and Rocket Museum. The town itself is actually pretty cool. It's in northern Alabama, so it's like hilly. It's not like farmland Alabama. I mean, I guess it doesn't get too hot, but today I have one of those conundrums. There's rain coming in, a nice little band. It's amazing how much on these rides you kind of get to understand weather a lot better. But there's a rainstorm coming in, and the inner lining of this jacket is waterproof. But it's going to be hot, so I'd like to take it out. So I'm going to ride with it because I think I'd rather be dry than completely comfortable, and I'll just allow the wind to hopefully be my cooling device. So with that, we're off and going. I got a nice little spot I want to hit on the way here, on the way out west. So here we go. Starting out from Huntsville. I mean, I really liked Huntsville. It's a nice city. I mean, it's northern Alabama. I mean, Alabama kind of gets this kind of reputation of being kind of this, backwater hick, redneck kind of area. And I mean, there is a little bit of that, but it tends to be the middle and the south. I mean, there's so much difference between a lot of different areas of the country. I mean, you can't compare a lot of Alabama to, say, California, because obviously California a lot bigger and has the huge coast. Alabama only has a small bit of the coast, and you can actually see some similarities between the coast of Alabama on the Gulf of Mexico and the California coast. I mean, they're very similar in a lot of aspects. The one thing Alabama has, and that California doesn't, it has a very low land value. I mean, most of the homes here, and so it's actually a lot cheaper to live in Alabama than it does California. I mean, this is just one of those apples to oranges comparison that people constantly get kind of caught up in. But Alabama, especially northern Alabama, you're in this big forestry, this big kind of hilly region when it shares with the Carolinas and Tennessee. I mean, this is the area where, there's still Civil War activities, Civil War historic sites that are here. Here I just kind of go by and you see them clear cutting logs. I mean, you see this all the time when you're kind of out in the country, because really when you get down to it, the only reason cities are actually capable is because all this work occurs in the countryside. Chopping down the trees, doing the mining, all that stuff has to occur for these cities to exist. I mean, the food for the cities has to come from somewhere, and has to come from farms, and the farms have to be on open land. So a lot of these places have a lot of that open land from which the food for the cities is produced. And this is real important that cities should have a little bit more reverence for the country rather than constantly kind of thinking of them inbreds. And obviously, conversely, there's a lot of city folk jokes that kind of go on from this point directed back at the city. So there's a little bit of a give and take there. So I'm here in a town called Savannah, Tennessee. Okay, you can see some of the hick art. Okay, now Now, the interesting thing about this town is they have a festival coming up, some arts and craft groove thing. But the interesting thing about that town is you can see that water tower. About 300 feet past that water tower is where the town starts. And this is pretty much where the town ends. It's that small. I have no idea what these people do. I guess they probably help out on the farms and ranches that are nearby. That's how small some of these towns are. I mean, just, you know, it's funny, the road actually changed right when I hit the state line between Tennessee and Alabama. Okay, here I was actually wrong. The town I was in is actually not, you know, Savannah. The county is Savannah. There is actually a city that'll be Savannah, which I'll hit shortly. But it's just, some people just don't understand how small some towns are in the area. I mean, you see it a little bit more out west, where I almost think they do have a bragging rights when they actually put low numbers on town population, blah, 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 blah. Because you can sometimes see like town population of 2,000. You can even see sometimes out west they'll put down populations of as low as like 300 or 200 people. And you figure, why would you even bother putting the population on the town sign? I don't quite get it, but yeah, there's a lot of small towns here that really, I mean, I think they just, you really have to like you know, farm, kind of isolated life where you only go into town, and towns are usually not too far away, you know. Okay, this is actual Savannah. That town back there is not Savannah, it's called Grove Cove or something like that. Savannah is also the name of the county, so that's why the water tower had Savannah on it. So this is actual Savannah. Seems like a nice place. They have the Savannah River Museum. Now, is it about the Savannah River? I think so. Am I going to see it? No. Because it doesn't really interest me. There is something else in the area that I am going to see, and I'm headed there now. But it's a nice little area. The weather is holding for me, for now. So, off we go. Continue. Yes, and here it is where I'm actually leaving the Battlefield of Shiloh, the Natural History Museum. I stopped here. It's in Tennessee. It's a famous battle of the Civil War, and that interests me. Military tactics interest me, and it's a good time, and it took up a bunch of my day. So this ride wasn't as long as many of the others because I spent so much time on the battlefield. The battlefield itself, was great, but off and really to explore off, and I was headed towards Jackson, Tennessee. I mean, and these are all these backward routes. And the funny thing is that after you visit a Civil War battlefield, you spend a lot of time thinking about how the armies would move through or whatnot, because I don't know, you're just in that frame of mind, and you really kind of feel of how the armies would move through, and as they were marching monotonously through these areas, what they would be thinking. And I'm probably thinking a lot of the same things. Just your mind waters, and you just kind of enjoy the terrain. And this is very lovely territory, and I was glad I got through her. The other thing was I was on the Trail of Tears, and I keep bumping into the Trail of Tears on the way here. It's kind of funny.